The Baltimore Ravens put a slumping Steelers team out of their misery. The Steelers are just not the same. In the first half, they looked like a team that was out of sorts. They were getting run over. They only mustered 2 first downs on offense, and their defense just did not seem ready to play. And they gave up 21 first half points en route to a 28-14 loss. Now, we do think that Russell Wilson and the offense did the best that they could. They had a little bit of a spark in that third quarter to make it somewhat of a game, but they never seemed to have that complementary football. And like I said, coming back from 21-0, especially in the first half, that's a huge deficit to overcome in such a short amount of time. Kirk Herbstreit was on the broadcast for Amazon Prime, and he was questioning the fight of the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you think about Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, they were toying with this Pittsburgh defense. They allowed nearly 300 yards rushing on the ground, and that's simply just not Steelers football. Defensively, they're getting old. I mean, you have Cam Hayward, who's a veteran at this point. TJ Watt is getting up there as well. He's been in the league for quite a few years, and he suffered a couple injuries in 2 of the last 3 years. And Minkah Fitzpatrick, too, is a veteran safety, and he's definitely maybe not at the best as what he used to be, but still has maybe a little bit of juice left in the tank coming from the safety position. And particularly in these 3 matchups against the Baltimore Ravens, if you think about how they look offensively, Russell Wilson, like I said, hasn't been looking the great since the last 5 weeks. We haven't seen good production from the Steelers offense. Many will attribute to the absence of George Pickens in that middle part where he missed 3 games due to a hamstring injury, and that's fair. But since Christmas and the Kansas City Chiefs game, George Pickens has been back, and for whatever reason, that has not provided the spark that many Steelers fans would have expected upon his return. When you're thinking about how their offense has looked, it looks anemic at times. There was little to no run game. I mean, only 29 yards of running offense through the entirety of the game, and that's exactly the opposite of what Mike Tomlin's philosophy is. It's tough defense and a good running game. And dating back to their first matchup, despite them winning 18-16 in their first matchup in Pittsburgh, the offense didn't score a single point. All their points came from 6 Chris Boswell field goals. And in the second game, it was 34-17, and it's been a long time since the Steelers have scored more than 20 points in a football game. It's been quite some time. And at this point in time, this is just about as much juice that you can get from the squeeze. Looking back at how Mike Tomlin has got here, I mean, he's done a great job of having a consecutive year streak since joining the Pittsburgh Steelers 18 seasons ago, where he hasn't had a losing season. That is commendable. But like I've been saying on this platform consistently for the entirety of this season, when have an organization or a franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers have settled for just above average? Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game since nearly a decade. In 6 games, offenses for the Pittsburgh Steelers have only scored 24.7 points. And on the defensive side, the side that Mike Tomlin hangs his hat on, they're giving up a staggering 38.3 points a game, with several of those games going past 40 points. That's just not Steelers football. And the fact that this has lingered on for so long, I mean, let's face it, the Steelers hung on to Ben Roethlisberger for too long, then they've been scrambling to find a quarterback since. But these problems aren't just simply due to the quarterback room. I mean, Tomlin hasn't developed a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger. Him and Steelers management have tried Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky. They've tried Justin Fields and Russell Wilson this year, and they've been good in parts, but they've all had the same type of results, one and done in the playoffs. And I get it, it's hard to win in the NFL, especially when your defense is getting absolutely shredded. But there are some talented pieces, like I've been saying, on this defensive side for the Steelers, and I think at this point they're past their prime, and we have to do probably a huge shakeup in the Steelers organization. I think it first starts off with what you do with Mike Tomlin. Do you bring him back? He has a no trade clause, but maybe if there's an attractive offer out there for some other head coaching vacancy, there could be an option for you could trade him and get some capital back, because I don't think his value is going to be any higher than it is at this point. And then if you look at the division as a whole, the Browns now have an opportunity with the 2nd overall pick in this upcoming draft that they can get out of this contract situation with their quarterback and get a cheap, young, talented rookie quarterback either in Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, whoever the Titans don't pick at number 1. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're a team that has their franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. They're not going away anytime soon, despite numerous problems on the defensive side and their contract problems between Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They will figure out a way. I'm pretty sure at the minimum the core on the offense will stick together, and then with a new defensive staff, I'm sure also the defense will improve this upcoming offseason. The Ravens obviously have a multiple-time MVP winner in Lamar Jackson, and John Harbaugh has honestly outperformed Mike Tomlin during his tenure. They've overlapped for 17 seasons, and in that run, John Harbaugh has led the Ravens to multiple AFC Championship game appearances and now has compiled 13 playoff wins. And that's over a span where he had Joe Flacco, similar to Ben Roethlisberger, and then the Ravens retooled in 2018 and got Lamar Jackson. And it's been great since, and we'll see what happens with this playoff run right now for the Ravens, but it's two teams going in very opposite directions. And as great as Mike Tomlin has been, the NFL is all about what have you done for me lately. And lately, it's been one and done, 10-7, 9-8, and then you stumble into the playoffs and you get bounced out by a wide margin. And the Pittsburgh faithful, they are clamoring at the bit to get rid of Mike Tomlin, whether trade him or just straight up fire him. And it's no way or shape and form disrespect to Mike Tomlin. He's been great, but his stubbornness and also the Rooney's inability to see what writing is on the wall is going to be only their doom. And at this point, they have to really recognize that the only way to get out of this funk is to simply reset the whole team.